Hello everybody, you nearly caught me on the up there, I was just sitting down. How are you doing? Mike Hall again here from Best Before TV. Hope you're doing well, hope you're feeling well. Today is a special show and it might go on a bit longer than normal because I think I'm going to talk about something that's very serious and I think it's becoming more imminent as we go on. You probably noticed I haven't got my flat, the old git hasn't got his flat cap on today. Now reason being it's bleeding hot here in Spain today and I've got the windows open, so if you hear the odd car go past or a dog bark, well you know what it is because I've got the windows open. Anyway, I digress as I always do. Nice to see you, hope you've all having a great day, but I'm going to put a bit of the mockers on your day today because today I'm asking the question, are we heading for a world war? Now you might think, oh well no, you know, everybody's happy and when they're out on a Friday night getting a few beers down, don't think about things like that, but that's the question I'm going to be asking. But before we delve into that, I want to tackle another problem which riles the old git to prepare for what's coming. So this problem that we have, we could tackle and it will help us to prepare for what I'll be talking about the world war, shall we say, that's on its way. First, let's now, as you know, I have to do all these things myself, so if I look away from the screen, which I do sometimes, I would talk about well, let's put a chart up first because it helps me to talk this. Let's have a look at it. This chart here. Now if you look at the chart, it gives you a kind of a breakdown of the population of the UK. You can see 20 by age, 25 to 69-year-olds, but I'm looking at the 11.4%, which is the 10 to 19-year-olds. Yeah. So first it will break down the population by age. So 11.4%, 11 to 19. But I'm more interested not in those. I'm more interested in the age group of, I would say within the group of 15 to 19 age group, because they're more likely to commit a crime. Now, the number of children, teenagers caught up in crimes is at a historic low, so they say, falling by 81% since 2010. But youth crime still costs the taxpayer 1.5 billion a year. This is in the UK that we're talking about, 1.5 billion a year, which is a lot of money. And we're going to break that figure down. Now, these figures, actually the figures I'm giving you backwards and forwards for the information that I've sort of been able to glean, but you'll get the idea as we go along. Now those figures are from January 21st 2023, so think on 1.5 billion is spent on youth crime. Make that point. Now I'm sure that this reduction was not achieved by some kind of super policing, but the failure to arrest the perpetrators of the rise in shoplifting, burglary, car theft and other antisocial behaviours. And I think the figures are way under the crimes that have really been committed, considering the police have been told to make less arrests because there's no prison spaces. So, with that in mind, and of course the British police, especially the Met police, are under the control of Mr. Khan, you know, the man I can't stand, and they seem to be taking all their time up by overseeing pro-Hamas marches and making sure that no one waves a Union Jack. So we're still looking at the chart, but I'm just going to pick up another chart now, which this one is giving the breakdown of crimes committed by, they say, children and teenagers. This was from 2020, but it gives you the idea, and I'm not really interested in the whole chart, I'm just interested in the top. It says police recorded crimes 5,778,000. Those were recorded crimes. It's probably gone up a bit or down a bit since whenever this was done, but you get the idea. You want to see that it correlates to what happens to the kids that commit the crime. Well, it seems to me when you get to the bottom of the chart, not a lot, because there's about 781 of them in custody, who get a prison sentence for crimes, and the average custodial sentence is about 18 and a half months, right? Now, you can look through the chart, there's all sorts of confusing things, say, they're given this sentence, given that sentence. Basically, for 5 million reported crimes by youths, children, it seems a pretty poor outcome at the bottom of the chart, where it seems that a lot of things are not done. Now, let's take I'm more interested in 15 to 19 year olds, because I think they're more prone to, more prone to committing a crime. And that figure that we saw on the other chart equates to 3.25 million youths, children of that age who come in that category in the UK right now, or thereabouts. It could be 3 million, 3.5 million, yes. And take that 1.5 billion and divide it by that amount of teenagers there is on the UK soil, and it equates to about £50,000 per teenager per year. Now, of course, not all teenagers are criminals. Youth crime is on the increase, and so how can we deal with it once and for all? The 50k a year could be spent on, which is spent on criminal teens, is a negative benefit to society. So how can we turn this into a benefit for the country, and also give a purpose to the youth of the country? Well, the reason I'm going here is because this is going to help to solve the problem when I show you figures, some more figures later on, about the forthcoming problem with what could be coming, which is the war. Yes, right. So let's crack on with this. First of all, military service. Oh yes, military service. Now that's what I'm going to be talking about. Why, you say? Why do you think about military? And if you think about military service, it costs about £38,100. And that's the average cost of basic training for a regular soldier attending the Army Training Centre, and this is from Perbrite. And it's estimated 38,100. In addition, an estimated cost of providing initial trade and training, when we're talking about Perbrite, because it's the Royal Logistics Corps of drivers, it costs another 23,000 to train a driver, or so they say. So straight away, instead of sending these muppets that get in trouble, instead of sending them to prison and costing the state fortunes and trying to deal with them, regulate them, and send them straight into basic training and learn something and give them a purpose in life. Help them to be the people who probably will have to defend the country in the coming years, because when we get down to the UK military figures, which I'll be looking at in a little while, it's a sad state of affairs. Now, there should be no exemption from anybody for mental health or disabled. Everyone should feel useful. Everybody, you can't be discounted because, oh, I've got a headache today, oh, I can't get out of bed, I'm scared of the dark, I haven't put my nail varnish on, whatever. We've got to install some metal back into the kids that are coming through now, because very soon, kids, you could be facing some evil things. So we've just got this breed of a soft generation and another one to follow, and if we're going to do anything about protecting our shores and putting pride back in Britain, we're going to have to sort the kids out. And I think by taking that 50 grand per kid, that's every kid in that age group, so not all of them are criminals. So but I feel that all people, unless they're doing a trade already, they're registered as a bricklayer, a plumber, they're doing apprenticeships, they're learning a trade, or they're in full-time university or learning or whatever it is. If they're doing something constructive towards their future and they're doing well, then obviously they can be exempted. But I still think they should go and do the first basic training. They should take 5 or 6 weeks of basic training to give them some mettle, to make them feel part of something, and then continue with what they're doing. Those that stay in probably stay in for 1 year or 2 years and learn a trade and learn to be soldiers and learn to be proud of the UK. And just to lighten it up a little bit, I'm going to show you how it used to be done in the old days. Little base, just to take a little break from being too serious. And all you kids, this is what your fathers, grandfathers and great-grandfathers used to have to go through, compulsory. And I think it should be compulsory what I'm talking about as well. So let's have a look at how it was. This is how it went.
All young men must enroll for a full 2 years with the active forces. The accent is on all. There are practically no exemptions except for the unfit. Few deferments that are not temporary, like John Saunders here. He's been deferred for a few years to serve an apprenticeship, but now his time has come.
Hello, John. What are you looking so happy about?
Got notice from my medical, that's what. Going up next week.
Not to worry. So have I, and I'm married. Even that doesn't get me off.
What does Mary think about it?
Not too keen, of course.
You've got to do it, so you may as well get something out of it. Well, come on, lads. It's time we were on shift.
Well, that's roughly the attitude of most of the boys. Let's make the best of it. Some are eager to go, but for others, married men or those with dependents, the sacrifice is greater. John turns up at the allocation center for his medical, one of the many drawn with equal impartiality from all sections of the community. There's some form filling, of course, details of medical history, previous jobs and education. This will help to show where he can best be used. Some are a bit nervous, but they needn't be. Swift and efficient, the procedure is not at all inhuman. John Saunders is fit all right. And now it's his turn to see the military interviewing officer. He says he'd like to be an RASC driver, but so do thousands of others. Let's see then what happens to him. One fine day, a few weeks later, John arrives from the station, sharing with a few others the carriage thoughtfully put at his disposal by the Army. Posted to the 68th Training Regiment, Royal Armored Corps. There are no tanks about as they arrive. They'll see plenty of them later, though. First things first. The Army takes hold of the new arrivals firmly and with the ease of long practice. The barrack rooms are, well, all right. Not quite like home, but they'll do. The Army, like all the other services, handles its new intake intelligently. If a man's to give of his best, his attitude of mind towards his new life is important. First, the simple things that are necessary to make the close-knit Army life tolerable for all. Uniform and tidiness of personal kit. Now for something about the history and achievements of the Corps they've joined, so that they can begin to be proud of it. And a word about why they're here. Next, the personnel selection officer puts them through a series of tests to find out which job each man is best fitted for. John discusses his future with the PSO, who makes his recommendations. Then the 5 weeks general military training begins. On the parade ground, the sergeant takes over. They've heard from the squadron officers and the CO. They know why they're here and what to do about their family worries, if any. But now, he says, you're going to listen to me.
Squad, squad up. Move to left in threes. Left, top. By the right, quick, forward.
So begins the first stage. 5 tough, packed weeks in which to lay the foundations of discipline, basic knowledge, and fitness on which all else is built.
Move on by numbers. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1. Now let's present. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1.
The difference in these men in a short 5 weeks is quite astounding. Upright and alert, they're beginning to acquire a new self-confidence. Here at the passing out parade, they prove themselves ready for the second stage, the technical training. Well, perhaps not quite ready. The passing out parade must be celebrated first.
Same again.
So there you go. That's that was your basic training and what you would have been up to join the army in the 50s and I think the early 60s. I know my father did well. My father was in the war, but basically I think up to 1960 or to 60, some time around there, it was terminated. But I think that national service should be brought back, and I'm sure your accommodation would be a lot better than that. But there you go, serving your country, because soon you might have to serve your country, and when that happens, well, you know it's going to be really, really bad. Now, where is this threat coming from? Now, some of you might have heard of the theory, the trilateral axis, which is a trilateral theory, and this is how the war is going to be brought to you by these three. Okay, let me explain that. It's a very, very long thing to go through and all the bits and bobs that go on the outside, but let me try and simplify what the trilateral axis is. Now, on the surface, for China, Russia and Iran, the potential benefit is of its collaboration and the formalization of the axis are intuitive. First, it would facilitate the shared goal of challenging and remaking the US-led global order. With this group, there's no shortage of rhetoric extolling this objective. I think Xi, is it President Xi, has called for, I don't know how you say his name, Xi, has called for China to lead the reform of the global governance system. And he's launched initiatives to rival the US-led world order, such as the Belt and Road Initiative, Global Development Initiative, the Global Security Initiative. Russia, the mid-level partner, has a primary foreign policy and focuses on articulated and so-called Plumnikov Doctrine. Now, I'm not going to go into that, but what I'm saying is that Russia is one of the third, as you know, people, or third organizations, or third country that are pushing for this kind of reorder. Okay, to create a multipolar world in which the United States is constrained by other major powers, i.e. Russia, China, Iran, Okay, and the counterparts to join. They want their people who support them to join this kind of resistance, to turn the threat of the United States into an opportunity for progress. The threat is not from the United States. You should turn this round, because the threat is from Russia, Iran, okay, and China. Now, it's difficult to explain it all in very simple terms, but basically they have for example, the finally ongoing Israel-Hamas war underscores the fact that there does appear to be a trilateral coordination. It's often limited in its rhetorical alignment with non-military diplomacy that is not exclusive to trilateral grouping. Now, it sounds like a mouthful. Basically, they use their diplomatic powers, the big powers, to manipulate smaller powers to fall over to their way of thinking. You get what I mean? Yeah, of course you. I should have said that in the first place instead of using all them big words. Chinese narratives in Gaza, for instance, are largely mirrored those of Iran. So China think of Gaza in the same way that Iran does, and Iran supports Hamas. And Russia's Chinese officials have both met with Hamas leaders. And when it comes to Gaza, related resolutions, the two countries have voted in tandem at the United Nations Security Council. Yet these rhetorical and diplomatic positions are hardly limited to the members of the purported trilateral axis. What it means is people like Hamas and other fractions of rebels and outlawed organisations that hate the West, they are funded by these and obviously directed on how to behave and how to upset the equilibrium in Europe. For example, recently there's been lots of cyber attacks on various different things, and we know that those have come from Russia, whereas China are buying up things in Africa, giving loans to countries, to small countries that could never pay them back, and taking in all and sundry to make them obligated to China. And meanwhile they keep funding all these terrorist organisations that try and upset. Also, there's also a theory that the people who are coming in on the little boats, a lot of these people are funded in such a way to get them there, because this is now becoming a fifth column. And as you know, that in the UK especially, there's places now where the white indigenous population are a minority. Anyway, so this is the trilateral axis. It's difficult to explain in such a short time, it takes a lot of time, but I think probably you've got the idea. Now what I'm going to do now is to show you why we should be training kids up, or teenagers or people in the army, because we're going to look now at the size of the armies that we're up against. So we'll start with the Chinese army, shall we? Now, I'm going to read out some figures to you, and then when we get to the figures that are sort of our allied figures, you'll be very surprised. It's the hat that's doing it. Anyway, don't get too scared, because the war hasn't started yet. So let's look at the Chinese army. Here it is, in all its glory, having a parade. Now, the Chinese Liberation Army, and the military age is around 18, and it's a conscription, yes, and it's a hybrid system of conscripts and volunteers. The active personnel in 2022 was 2,035,000, with a reserve of 510,000 in 2022. Now you can see that's a lot of trained soldiers, and it doesn't say anything about their hardware, about what they've developed, their weapons. But I would say that they have an absolutely tremendous army, fighting force which are dedicated to the country because they have to be under the regime that they work. So that's the Chinese army, and you can see from there they're very disciplined, very clean, very turned out well, and they seem to enjoy what they're doing. So remember the figures, 2,035,000 there, ready to go at any time, plus another 510,000 to reserve. So let's move from there now, move from China, shall we? And we'll go to Russia. And here's Russia, getting ready for their military parade. Now Russia, what can you say about Russia? How big is the Russian military currently? How many soldiers does Russia have and the Russian armed forces had? They have 3.57 million troops as of 2024, with 37% of them, or 1.32 million, being active military personnel. Again, lots of soldiers, well trained, lots of hardware. They've also got 2 million were reserve service members and 250,000 were paramilitary forces. So as you can see, just talking about China and Russia, they are ready for war at all times. They have the might and the military strength to go on and do what they have to do or what they think they should do. You have to understand that Russia cannot stand. The Russian boss is like Putin. He's a KGB trained man. He knows nothing else. All he wants is to capture, arm and create and make the biggest state he can, and that's what he lives for, and so does all these oligarchs behind him. Oligarchs, we call them. So think on, Russians also got 3.57 million troops hot and ready to go. Their military hardware, the weapons, I don't know, that's another story. But then the linchpin in this, who are basically causing all the trouble on behalf of these, who are destabilizing the Europe and the Middle East, are of course not the Russians but the Iranian army. And here they are, the Iranian army. Now the Iranian armed forces are the largest in the Middle East in terms of active troops. Iran's military forces are made up of approximately 610,000 active duty personnel plus 350,000 reserve and trained personnel that can mobilise when needed, bringing the country military manpower to about 960,000. Not forgetting that these men and these soldiers are backed by China and Russia, and they instigate the problems throughout the Middle East. They fund Hamas and provide weapons for other, and just recently have actually attacked directly Israel, as you know, because of the ongoing situation. So these three, plus all their satellites at other places where they follow the doctrine of communism, of hate against capitalism and the West, they sort of Russia, China and Iran and others are putting their arms around them and bringing them in, and this is where your war is going to come from, because they don't care about peace, they care about conquering, power, military might. That's what they want to do. Now, one of our saving graces, of course, is the American army. So let's look at the American army and what they've got waiting to help them fight the war, shall we? We'll take away the Iran. These films go on and on and on and on, and basically after a while they get a little bit boring because it's just the shows are mad. You can see there now that the Iranians have got these drone bombs and things. They look like toys to me, but lethal toys. Right, We're going to America, aren't we? Yes, we are. Here's the American forces. Now, what do they have? How many military people are in the military? Well, the military includes 2,079,000 military personnel and 778,000 civilians as from September 2023. So the US military strength is 2.86 million troops. It's slightly greater than the population of Chicago and Illinois, the country's third largest city. So they've got a lot. We do know that their military hardware, and they're quite hopefully that they have some super weapons. But again, it's 2.86 million who are sort of ready to fight, when only in the Chinese, only in the Russian, they got 3.57 million troops. That's without the Chinese 2 million, and without Iran's 900,000. So you see, even America, in boots on ground, shall we say, in troops alone, is inferior to those. So they feel empowered. They feel they have the strength. Iran and China and Russia, because we're their allies. Now let's have a look at the British troops, which is a little bit embarrassing considering I'm English, right? And you will see why America get fed up of defending everybody else. So we'll stop looking at America right now, and we'll look at the British troops. Now here they are. Very proud military, fantastic military, there's nothing wrong with our military. But the British Armed Forces number is 138,100 regular forces personnel. That's in January 2024. Plus it's got 4,060 Gurkhas and 32,580 volunteer reserve personnel. Doesn't that scare you a little bit? All Putin would have to do, or the Chinese would have to do, would probably drop one bomb at the top up in Scotland, one drop at the bottom, and get the ball rolling and just move in. We'd have no chance. That is the strength of the British Army. And all our politicians do is worry about stopping smoking, woke this, transgender, pronouns, anything that's woke, anything that's stupid, they're dealing with. When this is right in their face. No wonder politicians are dropping like flies. Okay? Now, we're not alone, are we? We've still got the European army to help fight this great threat that's coming, and it is coming. We have the European army. What do the European army have? What do you think they have? Let's have a look, shall we? Here we go. This is the European army. Oh, yes. What have we got here? European Union military size for 2020. Well, I haven't got the up-to-date figures, obviously, but I don't think there'll be much more of an increase. Was 1,913,000. Wow, that was a 16% increase from 2019 apparently, and the European Union military size in 2019 is 1,910,000. Now that's a decline of 51% apparently. So hang on a minute, if you put us and you put the British, the European army, which is made up of other, all the European armies, and the Americans together, we're still under what could be, we're still the underdog. We're still the people who are going to come off the worst, aren't we? Because we're on numbers alone. It all comes down to hardware, and when threatened, I think the problem is going to be that it's inevitable that maybe we can't win at the moment with the military boots soldiers. We haven't got nothing against the soldiers. Soldiers work hard and they die for your country. They will die. They swear to die for your country. But overwhelmed they can only do what they can do. We know that America has some super weapons, and I do know that there's just been, Russia has just put up a satellite which is rumoured to be a kind of weapon. I don't know much about it because I haven't researched it yet, but then again, so these people are gearing up and showing military might so that you and me become under threat. Now, what I've shown you today in this show, it just scratches the surface of how close we are to war, and the delicate peace of the world is hanging by a thread. I don't care what anybody says, it's the truth. And why has Rishi Sunak called a stop election? Maybe he doesn't want to be a wartime Prime Minister. And why does Nigel Farage want to go to America? Because there's more chance of survival in Trump's USA? Think on, all you woke pronoun nutters. You won't care what they call you when there's a Kalashnikov pointed at your head. So, I think today, I'm sorry that some of the explanation I've given you over the trilateral thing is a little bit complicated, and I find it hard to get my head around, but it's the simplest way I could do it. But I think what we've said speaks for itself. So, all you people out there who seem to think that the world is rosy, or looking through your rose-coloured glasses, think on, because I'm not a doom and gloom merchant. I don't want it to happen, but like I say, I'm 70 years old. I've seen the way that our society is going down the tubes every day, and it's ripe now for the pickings of somebody or organisations that are stronger. You've got a fifth column coming into your countries who can turn on you at any time. You're too afraid to do anything about it. You don't want them out of the country. You let them there and taking you over. So that's something else you should think of. But I don't want to leave it all doom and gloom today. We'll have to have some fun. So let's finish today's show with some funny military bloopers, just for the sake of it, just to put a smile back on your face. And don't forget, get in touch with me whenever you want, say whatever you want, because I believe in freedom of speech. As I always plumb and say something about Rumble. Rumble social media is one of the best social media things that you could ever go on, because they believe in freedom of speech and they don't censor you, unlike YouTube. YouTube, they ban me anyway. So again, go to Rumble. You can watch this video there, or on www.bestbefore.tv. that's the website where you can watch 24 hours a day television free of charge. It's all retro TV, it's all stuff from the past, and it's good to watch. If you, it's for the older people, they like it because it's a bit, it makes them sort of remember things, and for young ones, you've never seen some of this stuff, so how TV and films used to be, watch that. Get in touch with me, bestbefore.tv@gmail.com or x@bestb4. You can go to the website, there's a little there as well, and watch things on there. You can watch the old Git, that's me, on the old Git page. There's plenty more videos that I've done there, or just watch the normal TV. But let's have a bit of fun with this before we go, shall we? Here we go. Army bloopers.
3, 2, 1.
What the fuck?
Get him.
Ouais, faut l'arrêter, on va bien, oui. Oui. Bah oui, oui. Hit it.
That's the Taliban's latest weapon. I'm odd.
Уходи! Уходи, уходи! Стол! Стол!
That's the Russians' contribution to global warming, saving petrol, saving diesel. Oh dear. What can I say? That's one way of having your hat blown off. It's a good job it wasn't his head. Some bloopers there, ability just on the theme. So think on what I've said today. I do take this serious, and I think you should take it serious too, because it is now, you know, there's so much going on in the world. There's so much badness. There's so much that can be done now before it's too late. All you kids out there which probably don't watch this video, you want the earth to survive. Global warming is the last of your problems, because global war is the first of your problems. That's all I've got to say today, folks. Hope you enjoyed. I'm sorry that I had to do this show today because I'm watching it, and as I said, you see things as you get older. You see things, you know. That's why I believe that people shouldn't vote till they're 18. I believe that politicians should be politicians until they're at least in their 50s, because you need to see life. And I've seen life, and I've seen things change, and I find that I'm qualified to say this stuff. But you kids out there think it's all sweetness and roses right now, but it's coming, and the people who've got to stop it, and the people who've got to stand up to all this are you. You're the next generation. You want to take care of this earth. You don't want it blown to pieces by war. Do something about it now. That's the old gits. Had me rant. I'm out of here. As always, stay safe, stay well, and I'll see you very soon.